Okay, so our rollout and recovery session today begins with our yoga class. So we are going to be starting on our backs in Shavasana. If everyone would like to take themselves there now. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to be coming down to my mat to join you. We'll make sure that we are happy with our setup, happy with our position. And just taking a few big deep breaths. And as we lay in Shavasana, I want us to notice how our entire body feels on the floor. Right from our feet, up through our legs, into our hips, our shoulders, down our arms, even up through the neck, making sure we're on the flat part of our head with our nose pointing straight up to the ceiling. If anything feels like it needs to be moved or adjusted. And then we find ourselves emptying out our brain a little bit. If we're thinking about what we were doing or where we have to go, let's try our hardest to just be here right now on our mat. Focus on your breath in, take that big inhale. And then paying attention to our breath out as we exhale. As we continue to slowly breathe, I want you to notice your heart. Notice how fast or how slow it's starting to beat. As we slow our breathing and calm our body, slow our thinking. And then with our next inhale, we'll go ahead and reach our arms all the way up over our head. We'll take that nice big stretch. Good, nice big stretch with those arms all the way up over our head. And then release our arms down, gather the knees into the chest. Let's give ourselves a big hug. As we hold those legs in, go ahead and rock side to side, right to left. How does that feel on our hips? Is it tight? Does it feel like we're massaging at our backs? Holding on to the knees, go ahead and roll through our feet, our ankles. And we'll come into our single leg stretch, keeping a hold of our right knee. Lower that left leg all the way down, pulling the right knee open out towards that right shoulder. Very gentle across the hips. I want you just to slow your breathing. Really encourage yourself to relax and enjoy each stretch. Bringing that knee over towards the other shoulder now. Still hugging the leg into the body. We might be feeling a lot. That's okay. It's okay if you feel a lot. Just breathe into it. And then come through the middle and slowly lower that down. Let's draw the left knee in. Open that knee out towards the left shoulder, really pressing the right leg down into the floor. Checking in too with your shoulders, your head. Let's keep those soft and calm. And then we'll bring the knee over towards your right shoulder. Keep hugging the knee in. Feeling any stretch along that left hip, any pinching, just take note of that. Coming through the middle and relax down. Now we'll take our feet flat onto the floor, arms coming down by our sides, coming into those glute bridges. So you want your knees about hips width distance apart, shoulder distance apart. Lifting the hips up with a nice big inhale, and exhale, lower. Working through that spine. Inhale, activate your glute muscles, lift your hips, stretching through the front of your hips. And exhale, control that slow lower down. We'll do 2 more. Inhale, lift up, nice flat feet. Exhale, release. And 1 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, slowly lower down. Good. Taking our arms out to the side, making sure you have lots of space around you, know where you are in your room. Lift the knees up 90 degrees for windshield wipers. Take an inhale at the top. Now exhale, lower to the right. Inhale, lift up through the middle. Exhale, lower to the left, keeping those shoulders on the floor. Inhale, lift. Exhale, right. Inhale, lift. Exhale, left. Inhale, lift. Exhale, right. And 1 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, left. Coming up through the middle. And now release down. Slowly rolling through baby pose on your side, picking all the way up onto hands and knees. And we'll find ourselves in table. Working through the position so that you have spread fingers, happy wrists, and soft elbows. So I don't want us in any sort of locked elbow position. I want us to really pay attention to taking care of our joints today. Now pull your bellies in for spinal balance, reaching right arm forward, left leg back, lowering down. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right, finding good balance here. Exhale. Inhale, left. And relax in tabletop, holding it here, coming into our thread the needle. Right arm lifts high, big breath in. Exhale, thread all the way underneath that left shoulder. You can lay down into your right ear and reach that left arm either forward above your head or up to the ceiling, whatever feels best. Placing the left hand on the floor, let's reach ourselves up through table. We'll take that left arm high with your inhale. Exhale, sweep underneath. And we can reach again the right hand forward or up high. Notice for a moment where we're feeling the stretch and how it's feeling. Very good. Let's come back up and through table. And now this time in table, we'll do our cats and our cows. So again, happy hands, soft elbows. Inhale forward. And then tuck the tailbone, exhale, round. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. 1 more. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Pushing back into child's pose when you're able to. Sinking those hips down into the heels. Reaching the arms forward and relaxing the head and the neck. We might feel a stretch through the shoulders, through the lats, maybe even into the back. Notice what you feel today without any expectation, no judgment. We're simply becoming aware. We're understanding our body a bit better, like going into an X-ray machine. Continuing our shoulder stretch, let's walk those hands over to the right edge of the mat. Place your left hand on top of your right hand, and then pull past that left shoulder and sit into your left hip just a bit more. Coming through the middle, let's walk both hands over to the left side of your mat. Right hand comes on top, pull past your right shoulder, back into your right hip. Coming up through the middle, finding tabletop position again. Now we'll come into a couple of different leg stretches. First, with our spinal balance, we extend right arm and left leg, establish that nice strong balance, good line. Now I want you to bend your left knee, so you're putting your foot up towards the ceiling. If that's okay, reach that right arm behind you, trying to reach for your foot. Now, some of us will have to stay here. Others, we might be able to grab our sock, our foot, our ankle, or even our pant leg. I want you to turn your eyes, if you're able to, and look over that right shoulder as you push your foot up towards the ceiling. This is a very tricky balance. So if you're noticing that balance is being silly, that's okay. Sometimes we need a good laugh. You can try it a couple times. Otherwise, you might feel a good shoulder stretch or even that left hip or left quad stretch. Take one more inhale and exhale, release. Finding table, you can wiggle your hips a little bit if you need to, and we'll do the other side. We start with spinal balance, left arm, right leg back. Go through each step. We bend the right knee. Reach your left hand back behind you. And then let's turn our gaze over that left shoulder. Try to reach for the foot, the sock, the pant leg, and then we can try to really press that foot up to the ceiling. Notice anything in that left shoulder or through the front of your right leg. Couple breaths here. Again, if you need to try it a couple times, that's okay. Coming down through table. And again, back into child's pose. We'll try to really lengthen through those backs. Slowly moving forward into our kneeling plank position so that we can lower ourselves with chaturanga all the way down to the stomach. Taking your hands and move them back underneath the ribs a bit more, let's lift up into our first cobra. Some of us may stay in baby, otherwise let's come all the way up. Relax the shoulders down away from your ears so they're not here, right? We're not letting our necks sink, we're lengthening, always lifting. Now lower onto the stomach again, take your time. And let's reach those arms out into the side, making a T with the body. Coming into our chest stretch, we're going to use scorpion. Taking that right hand underneath the right shoulder. Let's bend your right knee. You can bend both knees if you'd like to. Otherwise, just keeping it with your right. And now push over that left arm. You can keep your right hand on the floor for support. And if you have one knee or both knees, we want to try to get them to point up to the ceiling. Slow your breathing. This can be quite an intense stretch, especially if you have sore chest muscles or sore front of shoulder. Come onto your stomach, take your time. If you've wiggled on your mat, go ahead and readjust as we find that T position with our body. And now we'll take our left hand under the left shoulder, bend your left knee or both knees, roll over that right arm. Again, you're in control of how much you push. We should never be in pain. When we're stretching, we want to feel the sensation. We never want to feel sore. We don't want to feel like we're hurting ourselves. Slowly coming onto our stomach. Take both hands underneath the ribs again. Let's press up into cobra. Nice long necks, lifting up through those hips. Onto our stomach. Keep your hands underneath your shoulders, getting ready for bow. And we're going to do half bow, so one leg at a time. This is dancer laying on your stomach. We start by bending that right knee. Take your right hand and reach for that right ankle. Again, some of you may need to hold on to a sock, a pant leg, or a foot. If you have yoga straps, this is when you put your foot in the strap and hold on to the strap. Give you a little bit extra length in your arm. Let's keep the knees nice and close together. Push that heel up and then stretch through the front of the shoulder. Try to keep both hips on the ground. So we've got right side, left side. We're not overly twisted through the body at all. Feeling a good stretch through the front of the hip of that right leg, down the thigh, through the right shoulder. One more big inhale. Exhale, relax. Good, both hands underneath. Let's relax those legs together. Take the left knee, bend it. Reach the left arm back to the foot, the sock, the pant, the ankle. If you're able to flex the foot, go ahead and lift that up. Lifting your chest, feeling a stretch through that left side of your body. Couple slow, deep breaths. Slowly relaxing that down. Hands under our shoulders or ribs, cobra stretch. Good work, everybody. Let's press back into child's pose. Nice big back stretch. Take a few moments, check in with yourself. Now at this point, I'm going to just remove my socks. I still have them on because we're going to be coming up into a down dog. So if you also have socks on and you prefer to take them off for down dog position, go ahead and do that now. And then whenever you're ready, you can find yourself on your hands and your toes, lifting those hips up nice and high. And if you're choosing not to do down dog today, that's okay. Just stay in child's pose. While we're here, you can pedal through those feet, walking through toes to heels. Now preparing for pigeon. We'll take that right foot all the way up to the sky. Bend the knee as we drive through plank, kicking the foot towards the left hand, the knee towards the right hand. Now this could be very stiff, very tight feeling. Just ease into it. Remember, we don't need to be the best version of our pigeon today. There's no expectations and we're not comparing against any other times we've done the pose. You'll notice that I'm still on my hands. Maybe you've already come down onto your elbows. I'm feeling quite tight this morning, so I'm just going to take my time lowering. I'll stay here for a couple more breaths. Good, and I'm appreciating all these long lines, trying to keep our backs level and flat. We're staying on top of ankles and knees. We're avoiding leaning or laying onto a hip. We'll slowly start to bring our hands back up onto the floor. Come back through our plank position to push into down dog or child's pose. Always working on smooth transitions and overall body control. Preparing to do that on the other side. So we take that left foot high to the sky. This is three-legged dog. Bend the knee through plank position for pigeon. Knee to the left hand, foot to the right hand. Really try to press that right leg back straight behind us. And see how I'm even on the top of my foot? So I don't want that foot turned in. Try to get the foot back straight, keeping those hips level. And then you can stay high on your hands like I'm doing. Or you can come down onto your elbows when you're ready or if you're ready today. Slow, deep breathing. Take your time coming up onto the hands. We'll come into our last down dog or child's pose from plank, pressing back into position. Really press your chest back between your shoulders. Maybe if you're in down dog, we can shake our head no and nod our head yes. Take a couple extra breaths here. Now slowly come through tabletop. And we can sweep around all the way into a staff position. So that's our straight leg, upright, seated position. We have our hands just out to our side for a moment. Forward fold. Everybody ready? Let's take a big inhale, lift so tall. Now exhale, reach forward. Relax your hands, relax your head, wherever that may be. Notice if we're feeling any stretch behind the neck as we let our chin come down. Any stretch up the back. Now slowly roll that up. Now sitting comfortably. Some of you may choose to stay here with the legs. I'm gonna cross them because that's more comfortable for myself. We're coming into just a couple of shoulder stretches to finish off the yoga portion or the stretch portion of our recovery session today. Eagle arms. So I actually want us to start by finding a spot that you're super comfortable to sit in. Make sure you can sit nice and tall. We'll bring our arms out to the side. So we've got our palms forward, our thumbs facing up. Now we take our right arm across the body. Bring your left arm over top. Now give yourself that big hug. This may be enough for some of you today, and you're just gonna stay here. You're gonna keep yourself in a nice big hug. Otherwise, we're going to lift those elbows up, lift the arms. So now you've got knuckle to knuckle. And then some of us may be able to twist into palm to palm. Lift the elbows up a little bit higher, stretching through the back of the shoulder blades. And if you're here and you're realizing that it's not necessarily a position that your shoulders love, you'll go back into the hug. Remember, we're going to do both sides. One more inhale. Exhale, release, open up those arms. And now we do the other side. We start with our left arm coming across the body. Take that right hand on top. Give yourself a big hug, knowing that our position may be different now with the right arm on top. Lift your elbows up and see if you want to do knuckle to knuckle or palm to palm, and lift the elbows up just a little bit higher, stretching through the back of those shoulders. Sitting up nice and tall with your posture. Notice your breathing. All right, move those arms open, big inhale. Now take your right arm across. Scoop under with your left arm. Keep that shoulder down away from your ear though. This position of yanking our shoulder is not doing anything but hurting. Keep that shoulder down, pull the arm gently across, and then tip your head towards those hands. This is the proper way to do that shoulder stretch. Coming up, let's open the arms out. Take the left arm across. Scoop under with the right. Again, if you feel like your shoulder's coming up, just pull that shoulder back into place and squeeze it along your chest. And then we can tip the head over to the right. I know a lot of concerns I was hearing this week were from necks, sore upper back, sore necks. So making sure that we're doing some of these nice stretches, maybe applying some heat. Good, open up. Let's lift those arms all the way up above our head now. We'll take our hands through heart center, come down, namaste. Thank you. So that concludes the yoga portion of our class. At this point, if anyone needs to leave, needs to get a drink of water, needs to get set up for rolling, I have my foam roller and I have my lacrosse ball or a massage ball. So you're welcome to take any of those pieces of equipment. If you are finishing here and signing off, thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna grab a quick drink of water. Those of you staying, you can get yourself set up back on your mat. You can fidget any clothing that you need to maybe change. Long-haired folk, let's tie our hair up in buns so that the hair does not get pinched beneath the roller. All right, so I do have a list of items that I would like to get through this morning or today, depending on when you're doing the class. Okay, no problem. So we're going to go through that list. As I mentioned at the beginning of our yoga portion of the class, we're going to repeat the same focus or the same muscles or areas of the body that we were already addressing with the stretch. So it is very, very planned out. We are definitely paying a lot more attention today to the posterior chain. So that's the back of the body. That should feel good, but also intense. So I want to remind everyone, take breaths. So whenever we're going through our rolling and all of a sudden we hit a spot, The reaction is to freeze and to hold your breath. If you all of a sudden hit a spot, I want you to hold and then take a few breaths in that spot. Okay, you don't need to move, you just need to hold it. Take a few breaths. Cool. And grab water whenever you need it. So I've got my massage ball. I'm just going to keep it to the side for now because I don't know if I need it. The thing with the massage ball is it is smaller surface area than the roller, right? Much smaller. So I use this generally only if I need to get a very specific knot or specific item. And I tend to use this more against the wall because I can control the pressure a little bit better. That being said, maybe you have some spots today that when we're using the roller, you just want a little bit more localization, which means instead of, a massage therapist using their hands, maybe you need that kneading pressure, which would be their thumb. So it's the difference between, this large surface compared to this much more fine localized surface. So if you have both, wonderful. If you don't, that's okay too. What we're going to do to start, grab our roller. Now I have the long version. Likely most of you have the half version, so the 24-inch compared to my 48 or whatever this is. Laying on our back. Okay, so I have the extra long version, so I go right from head to tailbone. If you're on your back, you may notice that this is going to be supported on your head to shoulder blades, or maybe you've got a position from shoulders to lower back kind of area. This would be a good idea that if you're laying here and you're thinking this is really uncomfortable, I don't know how to hold it, you might want to grab a pillow. You could always have a pillow for underneath your head, and you can always wedge that pillow under other body parts as we go to make everything more comfortable. It's a lot of playing when it comes to rolling. So as we lay lengthwise, and we won't stay here very long, I want you just to take your arms out to the side, kind of allowing those shoulder blades to wrap around the roller. This may be a lot for some of us. Like already my shoulders are really talking to me, and all we're doing is laying here, breathing on the roller, wrapping our shoulder blades around that roller. So again, if you've got the shorter one and it's not feeling great in this position, because depending on our equipment that we're using, we have to maybe modify. Like if you're using a foam roller with the bumps, you might want to have a towel or a blanket nearby just to put on the roller for some things, because the bumps are like those little thumbs and they may be too intense for some moves. So as we hold it here, if you notice that you need to do a little bit more, you can start rocking side to side, right to left. Again, we won't hold this position too long. I just want to start opening up through those shoulder blades in the upper back. Notice any knots that we may be holding on to, any tension. Good, and now the best way to get off of this, at least personally, I like to take myself slowly onto one side and just roll off of the roller. Taking the roller, when you're happy with that, right behind your head to start. You're just going to lay on it like a pillow. Make sure you're comfortable with it. Okay, and then we're going to rock our head right to left. Notice if there's anything going on at the base of our skull. Because as I mentioned in yoga, there's a lot of us that I've heard have sore necks. And that can be from a lot of things. That can be from any work at a computer or a desk. That can be from sleep, not sleeping right. Or it can be from stress, if you hold your stress in your neck. So there's lots of reasons that this can hurt. If you find any spots while we're just rocking our head right to left, feel free to hold it and breathe into it like I mentioned. And if you're not feeling anything, that's okay. You don't need every stretch that I give you every day. Sometimes we need it other places. All right, now as we hold it, we're gonna readjust here. So now taking the roller underneath your upper back, you might need to kind of fidget that a little bit. Again, I have the extra long one, so it looks a little bit different me getting into it if you've got the foot long or the shorter one. So now I've got the roller right kind of at the bottom of my shoulder blades. That's basically where I'm positioned here. So what we're going to do is drive those feet in and do a few glute bridges. So taking your hands either down to the floor or at the back of your head. I sometimes like to just support my head so that I'm not getting too tired in the neck. So we're gonna lift our hips up. Notice how that feels and lower down. Trying every time we lower the hips to get a little extra back extension. Squeeze the glutes, lift the hips up. And then as we slowly lower, now I want you to let that back roll over the roller just a bit. Again, straighten out, lift the hips. Take the upper back. And we can lift the hips. Now this time, let your hips come all the way down. Let your upper back come as far back as it can, and then hold it. So again, you might have your hands underneath your head. They might be down to the floor. You could also play with it and play with the position of the arms, maybe big stretch, maybe arms up. All right, and then from here, I'm gonna hold my head again, tuck my chin slightly, walk my feet out a bit farther so that I can come up a little bit higher. And then again, I just wanna open up that upper back. Engage my core, tuck my chin, scooch that roller back a little bit, and then let my head fall back one last time. Play with your arm position if you ever feel like you need to. Good. Engage the core, tuck the chin, and slowly I'm gonna remove the roller from behind my head. Now taking the roller underneath my lower back. So lift your bum up, take that roller kind of just right above your tailbone. So if you've got your pants or your shorts on, likely it's gonna come right up to your waistband. From here, we're going to play with rolling out the back, the lower back a little bit. So start with just those little windshield wiper type movements. See if there's any knots. You may need to change the position of the roller. And just wiggle back and forth, right to left. See if there's any knots that are there that we're holding on to. Maybe you feel a lot, maybe you feel nothing. Reposition the roller a bit more. And then I want you to take your hands behind your head. Again, lift your head up a little bit as we just kind of rock your hips. So it's like you're pulsing your hips forward and back, little bum tuck. Seeing if you can roll out those lower backs. Again, I'm just gonna reposition because I think I need to go a bit higher. Tuck that chin and then roll the back. And then, oh, I'm getting there. So now what I'm gonna do is drop my hips over the roller and then let my head come down and kind of stretch that out a bit. So see how I'm kind of hyperextending my back? I'm letting my stomach come forward, my hips pop forward. You can even take your arms up above your head. You take those big deep breaths in that lengthened position. And then you can help the roller come up a bit higher. Again, if you feel like you can allow your hips to really fold over and round your back. This will feel really good for some of us. It might be too intense for others. All right, now slowly, I want you to squeeze your belly muscles again, engage the core, lift the hips, and you can roll that roller right out. Let's gather the knees into the chest. Give yourself a big hug. Maybe rocking right to left. And then when you're ready, you can roll over onto your side or roll all the way up to sitting. Let's scooch ourselves back if we moved at all. We're going to take the roller and sit on it now. Okay, so we've done a bit with our backs. We explored from neck, upper, down, all the way. We're going to focus on the next section, which are the glutes. So again, if you've got the bumpy roller, you might want to have a towel to sit on it if you're finding this too intense. Otherwise, it could be fine. All right, take your hands in back of you. I'm going to actually go on my fists because my hands were a little bit sore. So you can go onto your fists if you want to. Otherwise, you can have nice flat hands. And we're just going to start rocking over your bum. And you can explore. You can go long. And then once you find a spot, you can hold it, as I mentioned. Or like me, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not really feeling too much, I'm gonna start to move over onto one side. And we're going to roll over essentially one cheek at a time. So now I'm isolating, so I'm putting all my weight, all the roller onto just one big muscle group. And you might be feeling a lot, or you might be thinking, okay, I'm getting close, but I'm not quite there yet. Let's do the other side. And if you're still doing in the middle, just one side, that's okay. as I mentioned at the beginning of our class, it's very exploratory. You really have to play with it and just kind of keep adjusting until you find the spot, and then you can breathe and roll into it. All right, from here, we're going to come back into that seated position and come down just a little bit lower on the legs. So now you're underneath the bum. Whereas before we started at the top of the bum, now we're underneath at the top of the leg. Hands should be in the position of crab dip. So you've got your fingers facing forward, soft elbows, strong shoulders. And we're going to start rocking just in the high part of the leg. So not very far. See how I'm really just bending my knees and rocking on my feet? So we're not traveling a long ways. We're noticing if there's anything in those upper hamstrings. So not going very far. See how I'm keeping my bum lifted? Good, now I'm feeling this, but not a lot yet. So I'm actually gonna walk myself back, turning the hands out a bit wider stance, and then we can go longer if you're able to. Now, if anyone feels this more on one leg than the other, here's what I'm going to encourage. Start with the roller underneath the higher part of your bum, come up with your hands, and we're gonna single this out again, okay? So you can take one foot on the floor, and you can start rolling the whole length of that leg until you find the spot. I think I might have just found mine. Right above my knee. There we go. That is a seriously loud talking muscle this morning. So maybe you found yours as well. Maybe you haven't found it yet. Keep playing. Now I'm positioned myself so I'm looking over the outside of my leg. What you might need to do is actually use the other hand, turn your body to face the inside. Maybe your muscles are talking more on the inside this morning. That's the whole back of our leg. You have to think outside, inside, middle. All right, now we've done that leg for a while. Now let's switch to the other leg. I'm just gonna take my foot on the floor and start back and forth. See if you can hear what your body's telling you. Listen to the story it's speaking. So I think I might actually need to go inside first. A little bit higher. This one's more near my bum this morning. And then we can switch when we're ready. I'm not ready yet. You can switch though over to the other side if you need to. It's funny how our right and lefts are not always the same. And I hope that you're able to, establish a good rhythm once you get going. Sometimes our rolling can be quite awkward when we first get into it. It's a lot of body control. Okay, now slowly, what we're going to do is come up into a seated position again, sitting on the roller if that's comfortable for you. And if you're using a ball, obviously you're gonna sit on the floor. The next section we've done now from neck, shoulders, lower back, glutes, hamstrings. Now we're gonna do our calf muscles. So the calf muscles, if we can, we're going to back ourselves completely off, taking the roller underneath the ankle. So a little bit higher than the ankle, the bottom of the calf. So that's right before that meaty part of the back of your leg. You wanna just get at the bottom of it. Now taking those hands into your crab dip position again, we'll start rolling both of them. And my bum's just lifted a little bit. Just rolling slowly. Now I'm already noticing that I'm gonna feel this a lot. So you can keep going with the double if that feels good for you today. I wanna go single though. So I'll start with my right leg. You can do one of two things. If you want a little extra, you can take your left foot on top and then roll this way. That adds more intensity, a little bit harder. If you want more control, you can take that left foot on the floor, and then that will help you as you push over that right calf muscle. And now, just like your hamstring, the back of your leg, how I told you to do inside, middle, outside, I'm doing the same thing right now. I'm making sure not to ignore. And what I've discovered, personally, I need it more on the outside. You may have a different story. So make sure you're listening to your body, and then you adjust so that you're getting the right stuff. Okay, so that was that leg. I'm gonna switch to my other side now. If you're still doing both legs, that's okay. So again, you can do right leg on top. Ooh, that's so intense. There's no way I can do that today. Take your right foot down if you need to, if you're like me, and that's just way too much sensation for you to handle. And that's okay. Maybe you build up to it. Maybe you do a few here and then a few on the other side. And if it's too much on your wrist, you can sit up and kind of just bend your leg here. You're just not getting as much pressure. You could do it on your fist. It's just not very much movement through the wrist then. So you might need to do a bit more through the shoulders. Okay. I was about to end it and then I just found a really nice knot to work through. Good, let's slowly come off of that. Oh. And then go ahead and just roll those wrists, because I know it's a lot being in the upside down plank or crab dip position. We will stretch out our wrists a little bit more, but first you can set that aside. We're going to go through a hamstring stretch again, our same forward fold that we did in yoga. Take a big inhale, lift up tall, and exhale, reach. Let's see if we can relax that head. Take a few big breaths here. And slowly roll up. Very good. You can work through those ankles if you need to as well. At this point, what I'd like us to do is take the body into a different position. So we're going to come into a shin stretch. Again, this may be really intense, or it could be totally fine. So I want you just to have that open mind. Tabletop position with the roller underneath. We're going to take our shins, so right at the top of the leg, below the kneecap. So what this really looks like, if you're familiar with Beast, right? This looks like Beast. Now you're going to, if you're comfortable, you can take both toes off. So it's a bit of a balancing act. If that's too much, if you're using just a ball or the bumpy roller, you might want to keep one toe or both toes on the ground. And then we're going to play a little game of knee pulls. So if you've done this with me before on the gliders or the TRX, you'll be familiar with this type of action of keeping your backs flat, your bum still, and then driving your knees in. Remember to breathe. Now, just like the calves and the hamstrings, you can do this on both sides, but I'm noticing that I want to do one side at a time. So I'm going to actually extend that left leg, and the left leg is going to be my stable anchor. And now I can just tuck my right knee. So the shoulders stay still, the back stays flat, and now I'm rolling out that right shin, isolated. And you might want to try inside outside, right? There's different muscles. Your tibialis anterior, that's that fancy muscle on the outside, but you might also need the shin muscle on the inside of that leg. Now, once you've done one side and that feels okay, you might want to readjust. I moved a little bit on my mat, so I'm just going to readjust. Take my left shin or my other leg onto the roller and extend that right leg for support. Pick my left toes up and start that knee pull or knee tuck. Remember to breathe, especially if you're hitting sweet spots. If you need to ever just hold it, give yourself permission to do that. Take a couple breaths. Good, guys. Everybody, just a couple more breaths. All right, and we're going to take both shins onto it again, and then widen the shins if you're able to, and come back into a kind of modified child's pose. Feel free to relax those hands. Really tuck the bum if you can. All right, and as we come up, we're going to take the roller in front of us, underneath in tabletop again. We're coming into a hip flexor stretch, and this one can be really awkward. If you've done your rollout with me before, you'll be familiar with my spider monkey approach. The special Cassie rollout experience of my spider monkey. So we kind of turn our body a little bit over the roller, and then see if I can tuck that shirt in so you can see better. We'll take that back hip. I've got it basically straight, and I'm gonna lean right into the hip crease. Taking this right leg, I like to drive the knee up, coming onto the ball of my foot. This is my power source. And then let's just take our arms into a position that's comfortable. I prefer a modified lever, so I've got my elbow on the ground. And then I'm going to start to roll, and maybe just hold it. Roll over that hip flexor. So I was going to say, sometimes the hip flexor is really tricky to roll because it can hide, but mine is not tricky to find today. So if you are anything like me and experiencing an immense amount of sensation, that's how we call these sweet spots. It's just a lot of sensation, a lot of feedback from the body. We're going to slow everything down, and you can hold it and breathe. If you're thinking, Coach Cassie, what are you talking about? This is so easy. Well, keep going with it. Keep working through, keep exploring. Right now I'm a bit lateral and a little bit more on the outside, and that's a lot. Feel free to go middle and inside. I'll show that now so you can get a better idea. Big breath. And again, if you need to just press into it, let your body weight absorb into the ground or into the roller, that's good. And if you need to go to the inside of that leg, it's a little bit awkward. This part is definitely harder. Okay, now I am going to switch to the other side. So we've got to reposition our body, straight back leg, spider monkey that front, and then those slow rolls. Now this side I can feel, but it's playing a bit of hide and seek. Excuse me. Okay, keep going. I'm just gonna grab a quick drink of water. Those look really good, everybody. We're gonna keep going for just a couple more, and if you're still on the outside, remember, let's go inside or middle. And then how we wanna finish this section is I'm actually gonna get you to again, take tabletop, reestablish, move back on your mat a bit, having the roller set so that it's against your knees. And we're going to come down. You might need to hold it so it doesn't roll away. We're gonna come down, so now you're resting on your thighs. We'll be focusing on our quads. Now this one, we're essentially holding a plank the entire time. So I'm gonna choose to do a plank on my elbows. Now, before I realize I'm a little bit off center, so I just want to bring the roller right above my kneecaps onto the bottom of the thigh, the meat of my quad. And then you're going to do some rock and roll planks here. So I've got my toes on the ground, and I'm not going to roll on my kneecap. I'm just going to do little rolls at the bottom of my quad. I feel a little bit, but not a lot. So then I'm going to walk my elbows back, move the roller up my thigh, and then rock and roll over maybe the middle section. And again, I feel a little bit. Feels good, not a lot. So I'll keep exploring. I'll shimmy back on my mat, bringing the roller up a little bit higher. Rock and roll. Okay, so again, I'm feeling a little bit, not a lot, but I'm noticing now that I could feel a lot. So if you're like me and you need more, we're gonna single out our legs. If you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is so sore, this is so tight, you keep doing what you're doing. If you're gonna single it out, I'll show you. You're going to take spider monkey approach. See how my spider monkey looks a little bit different now that my leg is up higher. And then I'm gonna turn my body. Oh, and I found it. That was really quick. So when you find it, again, I want you to do those slow rolls. Apply as much pressure or back off as much as you need to. Moving through the quad. So no surprise for me, I knew my hips were tight, so the top part of my thigh was also a little bit tight. Now your quadricep is made up of 4 muscles. So quad, meaning 4. So you need to go outside, inside, middle, high and low. So I know for me, it's the top quadrant on the outside. Hopefully you've been able to find yours. If you're still doing both legs at the same time, that's great. If you'd like to try singling out, that's good. I'm gonna try the other leg now. Whew, that was really intense. Reposition on my mat. A little bit of a spider monkey approach here. Apply some pressure and then breathe into those sweet spots. So if you're like me and you're really struggling with some of these acid pops today, go ahead and just hold it every now and then. Take those big deep breaths. If you need to back off of the pressure, you can apply more weight into your hands or that free leg. You could even bend your knee that you've got on the roller and put that on the floor. Let's do a couple more breaths. Amazing. Now slowly coming up through tabletop. We're going to work through our chest muscles. Whew, maybe after we hammer out those thighs a little bit. I don't know about you, but that was a lot. So we're going to have to pay attention to our hydration for the rest of the day. I've said this before, but just like after getting a massage, there's lots of stuff going on through our body, lots of stuff going through our blood. We want to encourage that cleanup and pickup of byproducts, which would be like that lactic acid we know about. So lots of good water and making sure that you're every now and then massaging those tired, sore muscles. So the last thing that we're going to do are the pecs. Pecs are, we learned about this week, our chest muscles or the front of our shoulders coming through into your chest muscle. So this is the area we're going to focus on. Angle your roller. Again, you can use the ball for this if you know that you're going to need a little bit more pressure. I'm going to spider monkey my legs, both of them, and then lean in. See if I can get it properly here. Lean in to the chest. So I'm going to have to play with the angle of my arm. I think here is going to be better for me today. And then we'll just roll over that section. You might need to play with your arm position. Some of you might need it up higher, depending on where on your chest, or you might need it lower. Mine seems to be more towards my shoulder. So I'm going to try to expose that with my arm down. If you need yours more in your chest, you might need your arm out to the side. So we'll spend a little bit of time experimenting, and I don't need the ball, but I'll show you what it looks like with the ball. You take the ball right underneath if you find the spot, and then you can roll through that. It is a lot more intense, I'm just warning you. All right, and we're going to do the other side. I'll grab my roller, reposition, kind of spider monkey out those legs. Fan that arm, get right below the shoulder towards the armpit, in towards your chest line. And then you can move back and forth. So the reason I like coming onto both my knees like this in this kind of spider monkey approach is because that absorbs most of the weight. And then I have a lot more control, a lot more control over how much weight or how much force I'm applying. So it's like if you're getting a massage and they say, do you want me to go harder or do you want me to do softer? You're in charge of that. Take those big deep breaths whenever you need it. Again, you can change the position of that arm to play with any muscles that might be hiding from you or ones that you need to expose more. And if you need more pressure and you have a massage ball or a lacrosse ball, or even like a ball, hockey ball, anything, a golf ball. I've used a golf ball before. You can use that. The only balls that I find really don't do anything, ping pong. Don't use ping pong. You'll smush them before you can apply enough pressure. All right, we're almost done here. Oh, amazing. Slowly, let's come up. Okay, from here, grab your roller. If yours is small, that's okay. We just want to open those arms back. Very good. All right, and then over to one side. Nice big reach. Over to the other side. Okay, and then last stretch. You can use the roller if you want, or you don't need it. I'll have it off to the side just to show you. We'll go through a final stretch. Right foot into runner's lunge. So hips relatively level, legs up and down, lean forward to expose this hip and thigh, and then let's reach those arms all the way up. Shoulders down, and you can even add an extra tricep shoulder stretch if you want it. Big deep breath. All right, hands come to hips. Let's just stretch the hamstring calf out a bit, pop that toe up. And then we'll do the other side. Okay, so we're gonna step the foot forward. I just have to cough again. Okay, so we should all be in that hip flexor, maybe tricep stretch as well. And then, oh, I just found an extra little length there. Let's bring our hands back. Pull, oh, I'm feeling so much. I love it. Pull it back into the hamstring calf. Hopefully you're feeling lots too. And whether this just felt like a nice stretch, a nice break, that's great. If it felt really intense and now you're realizing you need to go in the hot tub or the bathtub, or maybe even do this again tomorrow, that's great too. So lots of feedback, lots of information. Let's sit down into our easy seated pose. I did promise you wrist stretch. So I realize I just said that was our last stretch, but this is actually going to be our last stretch. So we'll take our hands, fan the fingers, and then press the palms down, heels down, soft elbows if you're able to. You might need to play with the position of your thumb to get a better stretch. A couple slow breaths here. And then slowly, let's do the reverse. So fingernails, knuckles, back of hand, stretching through those lovely extensors up through the forearm. Slow deep breath. All right, coming up sitting, just to go through. Maybe you need to fan your fingers or roll your wrists. A lot of blood flow just sent to those areas. And we will get ready to say our final goodbye. Again, for those of you who stayed, or maybe the first time if you just joined. Ready? Big inhale, hands up to prayer. Exhale down through heart center. Namaste. Thank you so much, everybody.